Welcome to Genuinely Curious. I'm your host, Shantiana Keys, here with Katie Moon. Last time I spoke with you, you were Katie Najat.
Yes.
But now you're Katie Moon. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great. Yeah, we got to catch up a little in the hallway.
Yeah.
It's been about, I guess, 3 years since I interviewed you for Major Keys.
Yeah.
And a lot has happened. You've been world champ again, which is crazy. But let's go back to the beginning. Let's kind of go through the sports element. I want to get into lifestyle, fashion, and things like that. But let's first do the thing that I'm assuming you would say that you do best. How did all of that start? How did you get into pole vaulting?
Yeah, so when I was younger, I loved anything involving adrenaline and upper body strength. So I was a gymnast, but I loved trying all sports. And when I saw the high schoolers doing it, it was the first day that we were allowed to do track for my school. And they took the middle schoolers over to the high school. I was 12 years old and I saw the older kids doing it and immediately knew I needed to try it. I wanted to so bad with the coaches. I think didn't want to deal with a middle schooler pole vaulting, but I begged them for a couple of days and they finally let me go over and I just loved it immediately.
Yeah, I mentioned to you, like, I don't even know what it would take for a person to go, let me get on this pole at what, 12 years old? That's wild. I wouldn't do that at 12 or 25, 30 as I am now.
I think if I'd started any later, I would have realized what it actually is and how scary it is. And there's no way I would have tried it, but I'm glad I did.
Yeah, it's worked out for you.
Yeah.
Okay, so you start at 12 years old, and then you go to high school. How was your high school career?
High school career was good. I had a pretty solid, just upward trajectory. And then my senior year, I won the state meet. I broke the state record. So that was all a really good journey for me. But then when I went to college, I really struggled. That transition it was the first time that I was away from home. I didn't have any friends that went to the same university. It was a new coach and it was all different changes. And so it was overwhelming. And the pole vault, because it is scary and can be fear-based, getting out of your comfort zone can be a lot. And so I really struggled. I went through a bad mental block that has followed me throughout the majority of my career, to be honest. But I found ways to combat that. But it took me until my senior year to really kind of overcome that. And it took, I transferred schools. And so it was there was a lot in the middle there, but it ultimately got me here. So
yeah. Okay. So you talk about the mental block. You mean like physically? Like, I know we've talked a lot. I think the media's talked a lot about Simone Biles and the mental blocks that she had while she was at the Olympics. Is it similar to that?
Yeah. So with her, she just felt like she couldn't throw the jumps. Like it was just something was stopping her. And that's what it is in pole vault. You literally can't jump off the ground. Gotcha. You can't even go bend the pole. I'm trying to break this down into very simple terms.
For some of us, we'll never bend the pole to get up in the air. Yeah, this is good.
So yeah, it really you get this red light and immediate no, and you just run into the pit. And every so often, that's okay to do. Like when you get hit with a really bad wind or just something feels really off, it's better to stop. But when you're doing it over and over and over again, it gets so frustrating for me, for my coach. And, but it was very irrational. There wasn't an injury. There wasn't anything catastrophic that made that happen, but it just, once it got in my head, it just wasn't going away. And so again, I have found ways to combat that. And my coach now has been really big on how to think on the runway and teaching me how to focus and how to tell my body what I want it to do so that the fear doesn't get the better of me and the anxiety doesn't get the better of me. But that stress from the mental block has followed me throughout my career.
People think so much of sports is that physical element, but so much of it is mental as well.
Huge.
But before we get to your college career and beyond, I read that you were a multi-sport athlete in high school. Mm-hmm. So what sports did you play?
Oh gosh, I tried, I think, everything. I did golf, swimming and diving. For track, I also did hurdles, I did sprints, but I also tried basketball in middle school. I did soccer, I did softball, I tried snowboarding, so any sport, gymnastics when I was little. So any sport that I could have access to, I wanted to try it.
Yeah,
and
snowboarding.
Yeah, my dad was a really good race skier, and so I grew up on the ski slopes, weirdly enough. But
That's funny. No, one of my, it's my year of 30. So because I didn't do it before 30, it's my year of 30.
Love that.
Was supposed to be going to learn how to snowboard or ski.
Okay.
Has not happened yet. So it might be year of 31.
I have said after this year, the Olympic year, I'm going on a ski trip with my family.
Yeah.
I have not gone in years.
I'm sure.
Because
protect them.
You don't want to mess anything up, but I'm going this year.
Okay, so you go to Dayton first. You end up at Ashland, a Division II school. I'm also a Division II athlete.
Hey.
Yeah. And you win a national championship there. Okay, take me to the, after that success, you move into the pros. What was that like?
Yeah, it was a slow, steady process, I guess. I originally moved to Knoxville, Tennessee right out of college. My college coach said, "You've learned all from me you can. I want you to go work with a professional coach." And he had seen, his name was Roman Bacharnikov. He was a Russian coach that was working in Knoxville, Tennessee, and was coaching down there. And the way what my college coach specifically liked was the way that he treated his athlete when his athlete didn't have a great performance. He, didn't get mad. He wasn't, he just talked with her, and my college coach felt like that would be a really good fit for me. And so I moved down there, was there for a couple years, but I wasn't quite ready to be all in at that point. I think I had that one foot out. I know, myself included, but some athletes I think are afraid to give it absolutely everything and not reach the potential they think they have. And
wait, so during this time, are you working on the side as well?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep. So in track and field, there's just, unless you are a medal contender, there really isn't much in the way of money and sponsorships. They want the people that are going to be medaling at major championships.
So what does it look like for training? Like what are your hours, I guess, are you putting toward the sport?
So at that point I was at the track for a few hours, lifting, all that. And then either before or after I was working retail. So I love fashion. So I was working at a Charming Charlie, which is the accessories store. And I worked at a Gymboree, which is the little kids clothing store, which is great because I didn't spend any of my money there at the time. But yeah, so it's stressful because you do have to do both, but also I was very fortunate. My mom really helped me financially. She just, believed in my ability, and I'm so grateful for that because a lot of people cannot do both. The level of training that we have to do to really reach this next level, it's so difficult to work a job on top of it because it's just taking your energy, even if it's not physically, mentally, and emotionally, it's taking your energy away from your sport. And so I'm so grateful for her that she did help me with that, and I know a lot of people don't have that. So yeah, it was just a few years down there of that, and I did well. I improved, and I was I alternate? I think I placed fourth in 2015, which was a world championship year, and they take the top three. And so I was doing well, but I just ended up getting really homesick and just some roommate situations and just things that I wasn't happy in Knoxville. And so I moved home in 2015, I believe it was, and started working with my college coach again, but using Roman's training plan. And that was great in that I was starting to sense, because I was unhappy, a lot of those mental block issues, anxieties were really coming out, and I could sense it. Mm-hmm. That was one of the upsides of having gone through that, is I could now see the signs and stop it before it happened. And so I said, okay, I need a new environment. I need something. I just need to not keep doing what I'm doing now. Right. So I moved back to Ohio. I was working with my college coach, and I was getting Roman's training plan. And that got me through 2016, the Olympic trials then. And I had a great day for me at that point. I tied for fifth, which was not good enough. You have to be top three to make the Olympic team.
Yeah.
But I set an outdoor personal best that day. And up until that point, if I wanted something out, a specific outcome out of a competition, and I had a good day, I got it. I achieved what I wanted to. And that was really the first time that didn't happen. And it was a very big, kick in the gut of just, you can't be in control. You have to get out of your comfort zone. You have to do something different. I still felt like I had a lot more potential, but I had to do something different to be better.
So what was that next change?
So I reached out to my current coach, Brad Walker. He was a 2-time world champion, 2-time Olympian. He had the American record at the time. He was truly one of the best to ever do it in the sport. And so he had just retired and was coaching at Washington State. He was coaching the jumps there. And I reached out and said, I heard you took that job as long as you could coach elites. Is that true? And it was cool because as I was just coming onto the scene, he was just finishing up. So our paths had crossed a little bit. And I just really liked the way that he talked about the vault and he simplified it. And his energy. And I just really enjoyed my conversations with him. And so that was what prompted me to reach out to him. And I sent him a video, and I don't think he wanted to take on elites yet, but okay. Based on what he said, he saw my video and was like, yeah, okay, you're doing, work with that. Basically I'm doing so much wrong, but still jumping well. No, I think what he liked is, again, his words, he said I was really fast, so I had a lot more potential than what I was showing.
Well, that's something that I noticed when I was, researching and obviously looking at the videos that you posted. I'm like, when you're doing your sprints, I'm like, that's pretty fast.
I'm trying.
Yeah. No. Okay. So let's move to, you mentioned that you had gone home to Ohio. Mm-hmm. I want to bring up this, I don't know if you would consider it a spicy tweet, but I saw there was something like an Ohio organization that had given out an Athlete of the Year award to a football player, which I don't know what the football player is, but
Miles Garrett.
Okay.
He's amazing. Okay. So,
shout out to Miles Garrett.
Yeah.
But, you tweeted and you're like, so what do you have to do to be Athlete of the Year? Because obviously you just won a world championship. So tell me about that.
Yeah. So a little bit of backstory. So this organization has been great. I've worked with them in the past, and I do feel like they do a lot for women's sports. So I really do love the organization. I've had a great experience with them. But back in 2021, when I won the Olympics, they asked me to come present an award at this award show. And they had female and male high school athlete of the year, female and male college athlete of the year, and then just professional athlete of the year. And it was just the 3 men from the professional sports teams there. And I was happy they invited me to present, but part of me was a little bummed that, I won the Olympics and it's not good enough to be, and in the past they had a amateur athlete of the year category, which is where they put the Olympic sports, which is a little bit frustrating because we have not been amateur. Track and field athletes haven't been amateur since 1980 something.
Okay. Oh, wow.
So long before this event came to be. For example, Tiana Madison, she was from Ohio. She was a 2-time Olympic gold medalist in, I believe it was 2016, maybe 2012. And, she was just up for amateur athlete of the year. And I just, all these things, I just genuinely was wondering, what does a female athlete have to do just to be recognized? I wasn't even expecting me necessarily, but it just genuinely, we've had phenomenal female athletes that have never been up for what they consider the highest honor of the night. And I was wondering if maybe it was just, it had to be someone from the Guardians, the Browns, and the Cavs. But Stipe Miocic, who's a fighter, won. A tennis player won in the past. So that's where my questions started to come in. Yeah. And I wasn't expecting it to become this huge thing. It was just, hey, like Greater Cleveland Sports, what does a woman have to do just to be recognized? Like, we don't have to win. And there can be a men's and a women's category. I'm not trying to say that women need to take the spaces of men. I think that there's equal value to both men's and women's sports. I love men's and women's sports equally. They're different and I love them both. And so you've honored females in other categories. So why is there not a female category for this one? So that was my only question. Of course, people just took it and went crazy with it. There's a lot of men out there showing their misogyny.
Well, I'm sure your comments are insane all the time anyway. But you know, I get that.
But I wasn't really trying to attack them. It was just opening up a conversation of, hey, you know, again, it doesn't have to be me, but how is Tiana Madison not even considered for Professional Athlete of the Year? Because yes, we are technically amateur at the Olympic Games themselves, but we are professional athletes year round. It's like saying, hey, LeBron James, you competed at the Olympics, so you're going to be in our amateur category this year. You know, not that I'm LeBron by any means, but you know, so.
Interesting. Okay, so has anything changed? Will they have a new category?
No idea. I received an email from them right when it happened, and they asked if I wanted to have a phone call. I'm like, awesome, and then they kind of ghosted me. So I feel like they felt like maybe they checked a box and they talked to me. I don't know. I don't love that. And again, they've been great. They do a lot for women's sports. It was just, you know, I just remember feeling a little like, wait, so there, you know, I won the Olympics and I'm giving the award to someone.
Right.
You know,
yeah,
like,
no. When you said it, I was like, wait, this doesn't make any sense. Well, hopefully they get on that. And
we'll see. But
it doesn't sound like it, but
I don't know.
Maybe
Maybe they did. Because I just said, you know, if nothing else, my whole purpose of my tweet, I love you guys, but I just want to know, again, I'm not trying to take an award from Miles. Miles is amazing. He deserves every award he gets. He's my favorite Cleveland sports athlete. It was more of just what, you know, how women receive this highest honor of the night recognition as well.
Well, and I mean, I think it's fair with your voice. I mean, what more would a woman need to do at the end of the day?
That's all I'm asking.
And then that's really the big question. But you talk about women's sports and the movement in women's sports. Obviously, we've had a lot of conversation about investment in women's sports. I'm a little more unfamiliar in the track and field space. What do you think in terms of I guess it's a difficult question because it feels like men's and women's track and field are kind of one entity.
Yep.
So what, I guess, do you think it requires for the women athletes to get to the next level in terms of the sports landscape?
Yeah. First and foremost, results are a driving force. If you're doing well, like that is going to help you. So I tell any female girl, you know, at any age range I talk to, just focus on performance like that first and foremost. But I think we're starting to see a bit of a shift, just even in Netflix just announced that they're doing, you know, we're seeing Sha'Carri really just kind of break through and Noah. And the good thing, part of why I love track and field is that the men and women compete together. So as a whole, I really haven't felt undervalued because I'm a woman.
Well, I feel like track and field in general at times in terms of like the public perception is undervalued.
Yeah.
And I think part of it is that, you know, people feel it's not marketable. It's the same conversation. And I come from a basketball background, women's basketball, where they say, well, these women are not marketable. And then you
saw this year.
Exactly. You see a situation like Caitlin Clark, Angel Reese. Yes. The Atlanta Dream literally just upgraded to State Farm when, you know, Caitlin's going to come in town. I think they're going to do it for Chicago as well.
Amazing.
It's like you've got to give the opportunity. You have to put it on television.
Yes.
I mean, we've got to be able to see it. And
exactly.
I see it,
visibility is huge. And that, again, really excited when they announced the Netflix special because I remember watching The Full Swing, the golf documentary. And it just, I always loved golf, but it just made me so much more invested in these players. And so telling these stories of the athletes, getting them out there more. And then, you know, it's on us to perform, right? And so I think I love that we're seeing more of it, but it's just telling the stories and just having more visibility. And
I think that's the biggest difference over the last 5 years with women's sports. Obviously, you have NIL would put stories out there, more visibility
helping.
with brands. But in general, I feel like, and I've always felt this about men's sports, the fact that a kid could tell you like what LeBron James loves to do, what he likes to do in his off time, that's important when you talk about pulling people into the arena. Yeah. Sure, there's always going to be a product on the field or on the court, but what are the stories behind it? And I think that's why people gravitate toward the Olympics, because there are always packages about what did it take to get here.
Yep.
But those stories throughout those other 3 years or the 4-year cycle, I think get lost. And so media companies just have to do a better job telling stories, which is one of the reasons why I'm here doing this
and
podcast.
I appreciate it.
But let's move to some of the things outside of the field, outside of your sport. I know you're into fashion. I saw that you studied fashion in Paris at some point in 2013. What does that even mean?
Yeah, so I studied at Ashland University and finished out my degree by doing a 4-week English-based program in Paris called the Paris Fashion Institute, and it was amazing. We basically created our own fashion line. We just everything from the beginnings to we didn't actually make the clothes, but we just learned everything about from beginning to end of production, what that looks like. And we got to help dress the models at Paris Fashion Week, and just being in Paris during the fall was just such an incredible experience. And I met, one of my best friends is I met through that program, and it was so fun. Cause I love fashion. I love, self-expression and style and all that. So it was really fun for me.
How would you describe your aesthetic, your fashion
when
style?
I'm not in athletic wear, because I'm in it a lot, and I love that athleisure is becoming big, because I'm all about being comfortable. But I would say more classic. I definitely like classic silhouettes, things that are a little bit more timeless, maybe with some modern elements to it. But I'm not super trendy. I'm definitely maybe outside of some of the athleisure stuff, but like I'm definitely more classic, timeless type of.
Okay, so if you did have to pick some sort of trend, I guess maybe not. I think trend is the wrong word. Like it could be a trend from any time, any silhouette or something like that. What would you pick?
Gosh, I think the ultimate silhouette is the Dior new look, that 50s, like the fitted waist, the big skirt. Okay. Like it's just so classy and classic, but not super practical today. I mean, I'm not getting a chance to wear that, but.
Well, are you going to the ESPYs this year?
Gosh, I would love that. I don't know at this point. No.
Yeah. Well, it's
that
in
would
July.
be amazing. Yeah.
I'm planning to be there for this program that I'm in, but.
I guess it's probably not, just because timing. That's when I'm hopefully knock on wood, I'll be going to Paris, but.
Wait, so when would you leave?
Well, so I have a couple meets leading up to it in Europe. So I'll probably go to Europe second week of July. So
is that typical for everyone on Team USA, or you would?
No, so there's a couple diamond leagues. So some of the athletes will go, some won't. Men and women compete at different ones. So we compete at the same ones, but for example, the men's pole vault will compete at different diamond leagues than the women's pole vault.
Got it.
And so not everyone will be at both of them, but I'm sure many athletes will be at least one of them. So.
Oh, okay. Well, back to fashion. Okay, I think fashion has played a big role in terms of women in social media. I mean, we've seen more tunnel outfits. I know the WNBA just had their
They're starting to do that with track and field as well.
Oh, are they?
Yes.
Okay, I haven't seen that. Yeah. Okay, so have you had any
I guess,
What do you wear? Is it athleisure, or is it like you wear a legit?
I went athleisure. I've only done it once. It was at the Prefontaine Diamond League final last year, and I went in a Nike. I did the cargo pants and like kind of this like cropped sleeveless sweater, and just it was a really cool look. But it was all from them. Like they fitted me out. It was awesome. But yeah, I think. I haven't done it a ton, just because as much as I love it, it would take my focus away from what and in the pole vault, it's so stressful for me as it is. Like I said, I've held on to a lot of those mental block things that aren't, rational, but are still there. And so I think it just eliminates showing up in my uniform and just like ready to go, eliminates an extra element of something else.
For sure.
And so I I haven't done it as much as some of the other athletes, but I love watching it.
Right.
And when the opportunity presents and I'm like, yeah, okay, I could do an outfit for this, but I would go more athleisure just because I think it's with the vibe of what I'm doing anyways. Yeah.
Right. That's interesting because I do see there are some athletes that you can tell just like even in the NBA, the WNBA, NWSL, who just don't care as much about that. And it might be a mental focus thing. It might just be that they don't care about clothes.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think that that's a real aspect to sports. It's, you know, if I'm the person fighting for a spot to get on the floor, maybe I don't care so much about, you know, the clothing. But I do think it's, again, we talk about marketing. I think it's a really good element for athletes to use in terms of their branding and self-expression. As you said, I think it tells a story that, you know, athletes traditionally have not told. So I think that's really cool. Do you have any fashion inspiration, like people that you look up to and you go, oh, I love that her style. If I could have her closet, I would love that.
I feel like someone that just always looks good on the red carpet is Zendaya. And I couldn't even fathom wearing half the things she wears, but I'm like, she does not miss. She doesn't. Every outfit she wears, I'm like, you're amazing. And she always looks classy, but trendy. But it's so impressive to me.
And they're always just like archive pieces. Yes. And then setting trends. She and La Rose. She
and La are just, that would be a dream to get styled by La
Oh my God.
Rose.
Well, you know,
anyone he works with just turns to gold. It's incredible.
Allegedly he's semi-retired, you know, I'm working with Zendaya, but I just saw him with Naomi Campbell last night. So.
Yes. And for the Met Gala, he did at least one other person. What was her name?
Mona Patel.
She looked unbelievable.
I mean, I'm not sure. You may have known who she was. I had no idea who she was, and that put her on the map.
But I heard she was already an amazingly successful, talented,
like businesswoman.
Yes, and so I love that, you know, he worked with her and put her more on the map. Because
it's amazing what fashion and style. I was talking about this actually in the last episode of this podcast. That, I mean, Zendaya at that time when she started to become this fashion icon or it girl in fashion. It wasn't like her career was like booming or anything. She was making a transition.
She was doing well. She was coming from Disney, I think. And but the way that she transitioned.
Insane.
It really, a lot of it, I do feel like comes down to fashion. It shouldn't necessarily, but seeing a person's, you know, journey on a red carpet over the years and just seeing how they've grown and come into their own fashion sense is so cool to me. And it just what you wear tells someone so much about you without saying anything. And I just love that on any given day, you can be anyone you want because of that.
Yeah. I don't know that I could steal Zendaya's closet, you know, like, it's like, I wouldn't dare wear some of those things. So is there any like more, I guess, everyday wear someone, for me, it's like, there's like a little bit Morgan Stewart. I don't know if you know who she is. Yeah. She's like very classic, basic look. A lot of basics. I'm trying to think, who else would I put?
I feel like I follow a lot of, I do follow a lot of fashion people. And now, of course, I am blanking on.
Well, I had to revamp my style. In the last year, I had to like give some sort of, what do they call it? It's like a style
reset.
It's like, think brand, like what is your aesthetic? Like I had to try to figure that out. As a part of my year of 30, actually.
I love that.
My wardrobe. I had to kind of find a few words that I thought fit, and so.
I think there's a girl on TikTok named Lydia Millen, and she's British, and granted, I don't think I could go full blown this way, but hers is very like classy, almost like cottagecore, like it's kind of that the Dior, like the cinch shirt dress, like just very elegant styles. And I think elegance is just something that never goes out of style.
For sure.
And elegance can mean so many things to different people. I think you can look elegant in so many different ways. But I really liked watching her stuff because it just made me not go as much into fast fashion. I definitely, don't get me wrong, I love to shop, so of course that's never fully going away from me. But it's like, okay, I want to invest in some pieces that I just like more, and then I'm not just like buying what's trendy, trying to stay super trendy all the time. I like Rocky Barnes. She was a big like YouTuber.
Okay.
And like, gosh, I want to say like her wedding dress. She was it 2014. It was like in that 2010 mid 2010s range, and now she's a mom. But just watching her put outfits together, it's eclectic, but it's cool. And so many times she'll pull things that she has owned for a long time, but then she'll pair it with something modern. And I'm like, how do you make these outfits work? Because it's like bohemian, but not quite, but it's modern. And it's like, so I have a wide like range of what I like, and then just try to pick things from each style to make it my own, I guess.
I envy that skill to be able to put outfits together, because I feel like I buy things that I like, little pieces, and you go to put them together and you're like,
this doesn't work like I thought it was gonna work.
Or it doesn't look as curated as someone some other people. But some of the words that I had to pick, I think it was like classic but relaxed and comfortable, things like that. So when I can marry the two, I think that's where I kind of thrive. But let's move. I saw that you watch. Are you still into The Bachelor?
Yes.
Okay, so
very much.
What were your thoughts on the last season? Did you watch last season with Joey?
Yes, okay. I thought he was awesome. I really, really liked him.
I think he's the best one
yet. I agree. I think he was amazing, and honestly, he just didn't have any bad choices. I mean, there's always a couple like quote unquote villains, but there were so many phenomenal women in that season that it just like.
And they all seem to still be friends.
I love all of them, and that rarely happens. And you know, I get it. It's TV, so you can't. You have to take it with a grain of salt. Right. There's editing and whatnot, but I think they did so many women justice this season, just in how they showed them. And you know, Maria's amazing, Daisy's amazing, Kelsey was so cool. Like he just didn't have a bad choice,
right?
And he deserved it. I thought he was such a good bachelor. I'm like he
was
deserved all the choices.
Emotionally intelligent.
Yes. He listened.
There was never a time or a conversation or episode where I thought, okay, that was fake.
Yeah.
Like there have been some in the past where they say, you know, oh, thank you so much for sharing that. You know, they do that thing where it's like rehearsed.
And you could just see the glass come over their eyes. Oh, sorry. You know, I keep hitting this microphone.
All good. No, but where it's, again, that emotional intelligence isn't there, but they know the formula to get someone to feel better.
Yes.
Where it felt like he was
genuinely cared about everyone there, for sure. Me and my sister would debrief after every episode.
Listen, I've watched with the same group for like 7 years.
You have to. You have to.
And so when I saw that, I was like, oh, we've got to talk about this. Because Bachelor, Bachelorette, Bachelor in Paradise. Did you watch Golden?
I did.
Okay.
I did. God, what was his name? Gary. From the beginning, I'm like, I'm not sure. Like, I'm just not sure. And then as we're finding out more and more things, I'm like, I think I was right. But I liked a lot of the women on his season. Yeah. Susan is the coolest woman. I just adore her. I picked her from night one where I'm like, because we do those fantasy leagues where you you pick people, we
don't do that.
Bet on it. Not really, but it's just fun to pick your people and just see how you score at the end of the episode. But I love her. But Joan is the new one. Golden. I'll watch.
100%.
She was great.
There was one person I was like, I don't know that I would watch them, but frankly, I'm glad it's Joan.
Yeah.
We only got to see a little bit of her last season, but no, I enjoyed her. I think she'll be good. I'm wondering what the men will be like, because I think going into Golden Bachelor, we were like, okay, what will these women look like? Will they be young? Will they,
I think they picked really great women. I think they did a very good job. So I was very glad that they didn't try to get young.
Because that happens sometimes where there's an older bachelor and there's like a 22-year-old and you're like, babe, different phases of life here.
Very different. Not saying it can't work.
Right. For sure.
But it'd be interesting.
It would, yes. Especially, we're on the same page.
Yeah.
Okay, so what else do you watch? Because I also, in that same podcast I was listening to, you said that I think the kids are calling it rot on the couch these days. Veg on the couch. What we would call veg on the couch.
Rot on the couch.
They
just
call
rotting.
rot, but
oh gosh, my husband and I have been watching Suits, so we got really into that.
Had you watched it before?
No.
Okay.
So
right.
I'm a fan. I like it.
It's so funny that it's like having a resurgence.
I know.
So much so that they got a commercial.
Yeah.
But sorry, keep going.
No, we've really liked that. I'm a Bridgerton girl, and that comes out
Today.
So I will be rotting on the couch watching that.
Half. It's like, is it 8 episodes, or are we gonna get like? Is it 4?
I think it's. I don't know, but they are breaking it in half, so I don't know what that means.
That
I don't
better
know how
be
many
8.
episodes. It better be 8, or it better be full length 2-hour movie episode.
Yes, yes.
And
We've
I'm
been waiting
so
long.
excited. I know, and I love this actress as Nicola.
I don't know how to pronounce it, but
Yeah.
Coughlin, Nicola Coughlin.
Oh my gosh, she's amazing. And actually, on my honeymoon, I met the actress that plays Lady Danbury.
What?
Yes,
That's so random.
Right, my husband and I went to.
You talked to her?
Yes, and I'm like mortified because
Why?
she was wonderful. So my husband and I, we went to the Maldives. It was this super small resort, so you see kind of the same 15 people. And
wow, very small.
I kept passing her because there's just so many resorts out there. There's so many islands you can pick.
Yeah.
And so, but I just kept passing her. I'm like, I think that's her because it looks just like her.
Yeah.
I mean, she's gorgeous and like very striking. And we would like smile at each other in passing. And then finally I'm like, I have to ask. And so she was standing by my table. I think it was her last day. And I just panicked in the moment. And I said, excuse me, are you the actress that plays Lady Danbury in Bridgerton? She's like, I am. And I was like, I just want to say I'm a really big fan. I'm not going to take up much of your time, but I just love you. But how big of a fan am I if I can't even say her name? And she was so nice, but I feel like I caught her. I feel like I caught her off guard, and I'm like, my mind just blanked in the moment. Yeah. But she was very nice. And then, funny enough, I really think the actress that played Violet, the mom, was there next because I think they had just been shooting. My guess is they were just shooting the spinoff Queen Charlotte
Loved.
Yeah, amazing.
Loved. Yep.
They don't miss.
They don't.
Shonda doesn't miss.
Grey's do you watch Grey's?
Yeah.
Grey's
I watched it up until basically McDreamy passed, and then
okay.
I was like, okay, I can't go through the emotional turmoil the show causes me every
that
day.
Is, that is a story for so many people. I stopped for years.
Yeah, I'll probably come back to it.
And then I just hop back in.
Yep.
I mean, it's one of those shows.
I will.
But they're saying it might get canceled, so that's why I brought that up.
I
mean,
mean,
anyway.
it's been on forever. It's
20.
It's
I think
amazing.
It said 20, 21, 22, something like
It's
that.
incredible.
But sorry. Okay, she was there after.
But I think and I was like, I'm never doing that again because I just felt so bad. But like, I was like, I just at least want her to know like she's appreciated. So
no, you should have taken a picture, and then when you tagged her, she'd be like, "Oh, it's Katie Moon."
But yeah. So I thought I'm like, this is the coolest thing. But yeah, I just felt so bad afterwards, and I'm like, you can't really call yourself a fan if you don't address her by her name, Katie.
No, that's not true. I don't think. How many times have I been next to someone? I'm like, I know that person,
right?
The face. Like I'm a face person.
Yep.
And you're like, okay, I know the movie.
Yep.
I know the face.
Yeah.
And then the name. That's funny.
Yeah. She told me to have a lovely holiday, and then I think that was their final day. So they.
Okay.
Yeah, but I was just like,
interesting. Okay. Yeah. Well,
I love her.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be. I think this season's gonna be good. But who's been your favorite couple? I guess so far. I guess we only had 2.
Season 2 was by far, and don't get me wrong, I really liked season 1. But I just felt like the way they built the chemistry and the yearning. I'm a big slow burn for romances where I want it to build to the point where I'm like, give it to me.
Right,
I want to see this couple get together
so
bad. And I just felt like in the first season they were flirting, and then all of a sudden it was like 0 to 100.
Right. Very quickly.
It was great. Yeah. And don't get me wrong, everyone involved was very attractive.
Right.
But it was fun to watch. But the season 2, the way they built it up was so good. So
yeah.
I think they'll do that with season 3 based on the split. I think they're going to get it to almost like a cliffhanger. Then
I was thinking that too. And I was hoping not, but it does feel like it might go like 0 to 100 though.
Yeah.
Like the way that people talk about it on TikTok, like it's going to be very passionate.
Yes, so, I think it will.
And do you read the books?
I read the first one, and funny enough, I liked the show a little bit better. I liked the books, but I felt like the shows really dove into a lot of the other characters and just built some of the other storylines a little bit better.
Okay.
And I think because it was
didn't read. I didn't
no,
read.
yeah. Like I said, I've only read the first one. I own all of them, but I'll read one out of a series and then go to, even if I love it, I'll go to a different book and then I'll just bounce around. So I'll come back. I'll read.
You'll eventually make it back.
Yeah.
That's funny. I did enjoy Queen Charlotte a lot. So I think, and that felt like a slow burn, but it was slow burn in the opposite direction, I guess. You know, like they get married and then you're working.
I was wondering how are they going to do this? Because they get married. So how are they going to, it was so good. It was great. Yeah. He is ugly. He's not ugly. He's not ugly. Yeah. And I think they do a great job of casting.
Yeah, for sure. And he made it work. And that's
he was
the
a
thing.
phenomenal actor.
Boyish grin, like charm.
Kind of the Tom Cruise.
Yes. Don't
ever get veneers, please. Yeah. Your smile's perfect.
I saw a video about that people were saying you can't be a period actor if you get your teeth done. And I was like,
it's tough.
Fair.
Yeah. You can do it, but
it's going to be strange for it to be, 1800s and you're like, bright and shiny. You're gonna have to wear what are those called?
The veneers,
or like what are the things you wear for like Halloween? What is
like the fangs or like
I don't know. I can't think of what it's called. Anyway, like fake teeth,
like the dentures or something.
But speaking of Halloween, you had a really awesome costume last year. That was awesome. I remember talking about it on my TikTok. But you were Torrance from Bring It On.
Yes.
All right. So
my best friend.
Yes.
Kristen. Yes, Kristen.
Okay.
Yep.
Who is she? Also a pole vaulter?
She is. She was training in our group, and she ended up going to a different group. But she was one of my bridesmaids. She's just amazing, wonderful person.
And she was Gabrielle Union's character.
And I can't think of Isis. Thank you. I'm like I don't remember their names. I just I'm like I just
so good. I mean, that's like a classic. Duo.
I asked her, I'm like, we could go as Bring It On, or we could go as Clueless, or I'm trying to like think of these like
that was a popular one recently.
Yeah. Yes.
Okay, so are you gonna what do you have brewing for this coming year?
I have no idea. I'll think about it like 2 weeks out.
Okay, fair. You got some things to handle before then, I guess. But okay, so speaking of those things, you had. I heard you had one of your goals is the American record and the world record, which is the American record the world record?
No, so
two separate.
American record is 5 meters, so I'd have to jump 501, and the world record is 506, so I'd have to jump 507.
Okay, that feel tangible still?
I think so. Yeah. I've been nursing an injury, so I've had just tendinosis in my Achilles, and basically there's no damage. It's just angry. And unfortunately Achilles, you feel it every step, and I have to jump. It's my takeoff leg, so it's not fun. I got a PRP injection it was about 10 weeks ago, and I got to a point where I was just plateauing, and so that was a little frustrating because my lifting was going well. My jumps when I could jump were great. I feel like as a whole, this is the best I've ever been. It's just we haven't gotten the volume in we would like in an Olympic year. So I haven't really been able to sprint, but I have done a lot of bike workouts. They're boring. They're hard and they're boring because you're not outside on the track. But yeah, thankfully, I feel like I've turned a corner. I got some good therapy on it. Last week, I traveled to Jamaica to see a therapist that was there with some of those athletes, and I feel like I've really turned a corner. Hopefully, fingers crossed. But yeah, it was just I was having to take, 3 days off basically of not pounding on it before I could run on it or jump on it again. So I think we've gotten it to a point now where I think it's going to be okay from here on out. Fingers crossed.
Yeah,
anything can happen, but
right, for sure. But I mean, you've shown perseverance throughout your career, so I can only expect good things. And I love that you have your Olympic necklace on. So cool. I told you this in our last interview. Like, I have been obsessed with the Olympics for so long at this point. So yeah, I'm sure. So it's an honor to have you here, to be here. Finally in person. Obviously, we met virtually last time, but in an Olympic year, and just getting to watch your career. So I'm excited for you. I'm excited to watch because you're gonna make it happen. I feel it. I can't wait to hear your review of Bridgerton. I'm gonna have to reach out and just get the final review on that. But thank you for coming on here. You're my first guest.
Oh, I'm so happy. I'm so happy to be here.
And your major key last time was that I said, what advice would you give? And it was about being persistent. And if it doesn't happen right away, that doesn't mean it's not going to happen.
Yeah.
And I feel like that in my career, where it's like I was not someone who out of the gate was getting these things. And so I've held on to that, where it's like, just keep working at it. So I appreciate you. I'm excited, like I said, to watch you and, to watch your continued journey.
Thank you.
Through this year and beyond. So thanks so much for coming on.
Thank you for having me.